Hey everybody, it's Tiny Flame Rob here. I'm working on my little video game project, and I've got this little light over here called. So I'm standing outside the Porky's Good Meat, a Porky's Good Meats restaurant cafe. So I'm going to be replacing this light because you can see this Porky's Good Meats light is a placeholder one. I was still drawing it, and it's not very good. So I was gonna replace it, so I thought I'd make a quick tutorial video to just show the process about how I make these little neon glowing lights. So let's have a look and make a better light, or try to make a better light. It might come out even worse. Let's see. So I'm in Gimp. I drew a little pig as a starting point. You could draw whatever you like, but I drew a little pig. Because it's Porky's Good Meats. So this is kind of the base light that I'm going to be using. I've colored it as a pink color, so that's the second layer. And then as a final tweak, I've added a title because it's Porky's. So it's Porky's Good Meats, and I just want the title to be Porky's. So now we wanted to have this neon shining effect, right? So what I'm going to do to make it easier on the eyes is just make the background black, but it'll be transparent when we actually import it into the game engine. We're going to need to do two primary things. So, technically only one, but I do two, and I'll show you why in a second. So, as you can see, there's a lot of little jaggies and a lot of edges because of just the resizing and the brush I use to draw them. So normally how I fix this is I go over it with a softer brush, and I try and get most of the jaggies out. But because this is a neon sign, it's going to be quite blurry anyway. So the way I'm going to fix this is I'm going to duplicate this. So I'm going to right click on it, duplicate layer. I'm going to disable the first layer. So this layer is just going to be basically a backup. We'll call it backup. Let's make this a bit bigger, I guess. So we've got the actual layer we're going to be working with now. So we're going to go to filters, blur, Gaussian blur, and we're not going to set the Gaussian blur very high. Just set it to something kind of low, just to get most of the jaggies out. Let's maybe do something like not like that. Like 2 is what I was thinking. Why can I not set it? There you go, 2. Something like that, maybe. Let's see if it might still be a bit too much. Let's try blur, Gaussian blur. Maybe 1.5 is okay, just to get the jaggies away. I know it looks blurry, but it'll be fine, because we're going to basically now duplicate this layer to be like that, so it'll be a bit brighter. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add the neon shining the shining effect that goes around neon signs. And we're going to do that by doing the exact same thing. So we're going to increase it, and you can kind of play with this until you find something that you like. I don't like I used to set it like really bright like this, but it looks kind of not great. I like setting it so that you can still see some of the darkness in between the different edges. I just think it looks more realistic. You can play with it until you find something that you like. I kind of like this. I think this will look okay. We'll see. Cool. So we've got maybe I should well, one second. I'm gonna increase it just a little bit because I think that was a bit too low. Let's do something like that. Yeah, something like that should be fine. Okay, cool. So we're going to now export it and import it into the game engine, and then we're going to make a light out of it. So let's disable the background to make everything transparent. We're going to export. I might have to edit this part because I don't want to dox myself and all my files and stuff, so I'm going to export it as a PNG. So you do that if you're following along. Okay, so now I've exported it as a PNG, and then I went and I grabbed that PNG and I just clicked and dragged it into the game engine. I store all my things in assets, textures, neon signs, just because I've done this a couple times, like quite a lot. Most of the neon signs you see in my video game project makes use of this technique. So yeah, that's why there's a lot of them. So the you can see there's one that I prepared earlier. We have the PNG that we just exported from Gimp. So what we're going to want to do here is we can leave it as default. We don't need to change it to a sprite or anything, because the material we're going to use will be fine with this. We do want to set alpha age transparency though, so click that and click apply, and you'll see up there the little porky or the little light that you're making will change. So now we're going to be changing this light over here. So I suppose I could build it from scratch just to show you how I make them, rather than just overwriting what I already have. But for now, let's overwrite, and then I'll make one from scratch so you can see how I do it. I have this material here called porky sign. It is attached to a quad, and that's pretty much it. So if we go to the porky sign material, we can see the texture that we added is this kind of lame placeholder texture. We're going to change it with our one, porkies. Cool, and just by doing that we can already see it looks a lot better. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. I will build this from scratch now, just because that way you don't have to you don't have to guess what the material looks like. But let's just have a quick test to see what it looks like and to see if it looks improved at all. Cool. So you can see that looks a little bit better, and it looks like a neon sign. You can kind of gussy it up a little bit like I did by using, I don't know if I'm going to keep it, but I'm using a point light. So if I go to the actual scene edit, you can see here's a point light. So if I change, oh, it's static, I have to stop. So if I change it, you can see that the porky sign changes or doesn't change based on it. So you can play around with adding additional lights. Or you could just keep modifying your base texture to try and get the effect that you would like it to look at. I like having an additional light here just because I want his snout and the text to light up a bit more than it does without it. I suppose an easier way to show you would be to do this and then to do this. Yeah. Okay, so let's try and create one from scratch, just so that you guys can see the process. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a game object. We're going to go to 3D objects, and we're going to make a quad, because they are some of the most efficient objects you can make, because they're just two triangles squished together essentially, right? So the first thing we want to do here is remove the mesh collider, because we do not want that. And this is going to be the basis for our light. So what we want to do next is we want to actually attach the material, which we don't have yet. So let's create a new material in our materials in our neon light folder. We'll call it porky test, just because it's a test material. So you might have to mess around with the different types of different shaders you want to use. I kind of stumbled upon this one by just experimenting, but I'll show you why it's important in a moment. Let's just attach the texture, right? So we imported our neon light that we made in Gimp. So let's look for it here. There it is. Cool. So we've got that one there. So we're going to attach it just to the quad as is now and see what it looks like before we do any setup. So there you go. I've attached the lights to it, and this is what it looks like. I'll turn the lighting off. You can kind of see that's not exactly a great neon sign. So we need to do some modification here. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to change the shader that we're using. I changed it to Universal Render Pipeline 2D Sprite Unlit Default, and I did that because it had the best results for me. You might need to experiment with your setup to see which shader would work best for you, but that's the best one for me. What's great about that shader is that you are able to go behind your quad and you can see as if you're standing behind the neon light, which is really cool. And the reason that's cool is that's not always the case, because quads don't actually have a behind bit depending on the shader you use. For example, if I change this to be, let's just say Universal Render Pipeline Lit, let's say Unlit, see if that works. You can see there, right? It's invisible because we're behind it, but it's not actually invisible. And also it looks like someone just squished a bunch of gum, which is not exactly what we want. There's no alpha here. So you can set alpha clipping and you can kind of mess with it in that way, but it won't look as nice in my experience. You can set a bunch of settings, but you can see it looks kind of gunky. That's why I settled on using the two-dimensional sprite unlit default, just because it looks really good for neon lights. And I was gonna say that we need to set like some additional alpha transparency stuff, but I forgot with this shader you don't. So that's basically the only thing we had to do, is to set the required shader to use, and there we go. I wish I could click on him a bit easier. Come on, Porky, help me out, man. There you go, there he is. So let's squish him against the wall and we can kind of see what he looks like. Squish him against this wall. And zoom in a bit. See, cool. We've got a neon light, another Porky's light, if we want to use it against something. So that's pretty much it. If you like the tutorial, please like the video. Add a comment if you disagree, or if there's something that, like, if there's a shader that you know of that would work better, let me know, because that would be super useful. Or if there's a better way to make more realistic neon lights, that would also be useful. Or if you know a way to make your own shaders for neon lights that a complete idiot like myself could follow, let me know in the comments as well, because that would be super useful to me as well, because as you can see, my game uses a lot of neon lights and this is how I've been making them. So if there's like a cooler way to do it, especially for billboards as well, because my billboards look kind of try not to curse, but not great. They don't look great. Like that light looks cool, that billboard looks a bit meh, so I want to like find a better way to do it. So if you know a way, let me know. But anyway, goodbye, have a good day, catch you later.